Hey guys, I'm Rich from NeoWin, and today we're unboxing the Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Extreme. So you may remember the X1 Extreme from last year. It was the first generation model. This is Gen 2. It is the newest addition to the ThinkPad X1 family. So ThinkPad X1 is the premium lineup of ThinkPads. It's like the best of the best. It's not necessarily the most powerful or the thinnest and lightest, but it is usually the thinnest and lightest, actually, thinking about it. But it's the premium lineup. It's the best all-around package that you can get. So the other members of the X1 family is the Carbon, which is the lightest ThinkPad. The current one weighs in at about 2.4 pounds. It's made of carbon fiber. It's awesome. There's also the X1 Yoga, which is kind of like the convertible version of the X1 Carbon. And that's also made of carbon fiber and stuff like that. There's other materials, and that weighs a little bit more. It's like 2.9 pounds. But it's convertible. There was the ThinkPad X1 tablet, but they didn't do one of those this year, so that might be gone. Technically the newest member of the family would be this foldable device that's coming next year, but we're not getting into that right now. But it's a foldable display PC. So this is the X1 Extreme. So what was new last year? Well, the Carbon, the Yoga, and the most recent tablet, they all have standard 15-watt U-series processors. It's what you get in a Ultrabook. Previously the tablet had a Y-series processor. So, 8th gen. Now they have 10th gen Comet Lake in the Carbon and the Yoga. Integrated graphics, 14-inch displays. This has a 15.6-inch display, so it's the first 15.6-inch X1 ThinkPad. It's got an H-series processor, which is a 45-watt. It's a lot more powerful, and it's got dedicated graphics. So last year we had the 1050, now we have the 1650. We've got 9th gen processors. This one's got a Core i7-9850H, which is a hexa-core 45-watt processor. So, last year's was 8th gen. Before people say it, and for some reason I'm hearing this a lot rather than I have in previous generations, there is no 10th gen H-series. I don't know why, but companies release these H-series laptops and say, well, why isn't it 10th gen? And it's like, well, they're not out yet, guys. I don't know what the obsession is around 10th gen on this, but for the 45 watt, the more powerful chips, it's not out yet. There's just 9th gen, and there was no 9th gen U-series, so whatever. But we'll see what happens with that. This guy's also got 32 gigs of RAM, terabyte SSD, 4K display. What it doesn't have, which is the thing that's one of the biggest things that's new this year, other than the CPU and GPU bumps, OLED. OLED is an option, 4K OLED, and this machine does not have it. Sadly enough, they said they will send me OLED when it's available. OLED also only comes on the completely spec'd out model, which is the one with the Core i9. And that's an octa-core, also 45-watt CPU. And so this one's got the i7, the i9, and the OLED is on the way. This is still 4K, it's just not OLED. So it's got the Dolby Vision and stuff, and it's going to be lovely. So let's open this up and take a look at this year's X1 Extreme. So if you follow my reviews, then you know that I am a big fan of the ThinkPad X1 lineup in general. So I'm going to Microsoft Ignite in a couple weeks. I can almost guarantee you that this is the laptop that I'm going to be bringing with me. All right. And here we have it. It's pretty big, but it's got that ThinkPad X1 branding on it. What else is in the box? Some paperwork. Let's take a look at the charger. I'm guessing it's not USB Type-C. This is another thing that people tend to complain about when it's not really reasonable. It's Lenovo's, I call it the USB Type-A shaped adapter because it's shaped like USB Type-A. I'm just not a fan of the shape because you can accidentally put it in a USB port, whatever. So this is another thing that a lot of people complain about, and they're wrong. because USB Type-C, you can't charge over 100 watts. That's a 135 watt charger. I did just check, and you can charge over USB Type-C, but obviously with most chargers, it's not going to charge nearly as fast. I say you can't charge with over 100 watts. That's not entirely true, because Dell makes a 130 watt USB Type-C charger. They're the only company I've ever seen do it. I'm pretty sure they own the patent on it. I'm pretty sure that no one else can do it. But, if you've got something with dedicated graphics in it, with real dedicated graphics that requires a beefier charger, you're going to have a barrel charger or some kind of proprietary charger on there, because that's just how it works. So before you complain that there's no USB Type-C, keep that in mind. I do have that 130 watt USB Type-C charger in here, and it does seem to be charging, so that's good news. Another thing that I didn't bring up, I mentioned the ThinkPad lineup. This actually, the X1 Extreme actually has kind of a sister laptop, which is the ThinkPad P1, and it looks exactly the same, except it doesn't say X1 here. P1 is Lenovo's new ThinkPad brand for it's like X1 for workstation. So if you're familiar with the P series, those usually have, rather than GTX graphics, you'll see Quadro graphics, or rather than GeForce graphics, you'll see Quadro graphics. Rather than a core processor, although they do come with core processors, they'll also be offered with Xeon processors. And so that's more what that's geared towards. And there's a P1 Gen 2 out right now as well. It has a lot of the same improvements where you can get it with that 4K OLED display and all that good stuff. Okay, first let's take a look at that keyboard. It's pretty standard for a ThinkPad, but I love it. I always love the keyboards on these machines. It has a solid key depth, which is deeper than I'd say most laptops are these days. And it's just comfortable. The resistance is just right. It's good stuff. The trackpad, it has those physical buttons above it. The trackpad is clickable, which is nice. And then, of course, we have our track point, which is fine. I think that most people don't use it, I suspect, but there are people that love it. I know there are those ThinkPad diehards out there, so Lenovo's not taking that away from you. We have a fingerprint sensor over here on the right, and we have our power button. We have that round, classic power button for ThinkPads, and the Carbon actually didn't have that this year, which I actually find kind of interesting because I'm weird. The Carbon actually put it on the side, which is where you'll find it on convertibles. So I thought it was a little funny that Lenovo put it somewhere else this year, and the X1 Extreme does not have it there. So we have a bunch of ports, 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports that we can see over here, which is nice and all that. There's that power port that I said is shaped like USB Type A. And what's nice is there's no USB Type A ports over on this side, so you probably won't put it in the wrong spot. Okay, HDMI, mini Ethernet, headphone jack, so you got everything you need. Take a look at this other side over here. This is where you'll actually find your USB Type A ports. And there are 2 of them. Looks like USB 3.1 Gen 1, which is fine. An SD card slot, and that's about it. That's the ports that are on the side. By the way, we do have the new carbon fiber weave lid that they debuted with the X1 Carbon. It wasn't on the X1 Yoga because the X1 Yoga was actually made out of aluminum for the first time this year. So that's new. Like I said, 4K display. Alright, so we're just gonna slide this down. Because, yeah, it's quite nice. It's 4K, Dolby Vision, no touch on this one, which I think is fine on this type of device. Right? One thing that's nice, right, is that we get no bloatware on a ThinkPad PC, and bloatware is a problem on many devices, so I'm really happy to see that there isn't that here. You can see, not even McAfee. McAfee is my most hated software that exists. You know what's funny? It doesn't even come with GeForce Experience. So, if you want to download those Nvidia drivers, you have to get them that way. The rest of the drivers come from Lenovo Vantage, which is actually an app that gets updated from the store. So, I'm not going to bother. But that is where you'll find it. Let's see. There is a newer version of Lenovo Vantage, which this doesn't seem to be because it's got that progress bar right there. But one thing you'll notice, right, is that we do have the function key on the left of the control key, which is really annoying. Okay, so in this app, you can go to your hardware settings, go to input, and you can easily just switch them if you can find the spot. But there's a newer version of this app where that's not in there yet. They told me that was a beta app, even though it's shipped with many of my review units. They told me it was a beta app, and they told me that shouldn't actually be in there. So the feature should be added back if you have a version that doesn't have it. Up on the top, we have an IR camera for Windows Hello as well, which that's something that's new this year. Not the camera itself, but really just that you can have both this ThinkShutter privacy guard and the IR camera. That was something that we previously couldn't have in both. So they debuted the ThinkShutter last year, which that's a hardware privacy guard. So you don't have to put tape over your webcam, which is nice. They debuted both features last year, the IR camera and ThinkShutter. The only problem was that they couldn't figure out how to do both at once. So you could order a machine with the IR camera, with ThinkShutter, but not with both, which I thought was a real shame because both are fantastic features. So that's one thing that's new with all the ThinkPads that offer both this year is that you can get both on the same model. So I mean that's about it for the body of the device. It's about what you'd expect from that carbon fiber clamshell look that ThinkPads have. So that's about it. I've actually got a few laptops to review right now. If you follow my videos, I actually just opened up the ThinkPad P53, which I mentioned when I said that X1 is premium. It's not necessarily the most powerful. And that's because you have that P1, but P1, like the P53 smokes the P1. Like it's super powerful. It's got a 16 gigabyte Quadro RTX graphics card in there. It's cool, I've got a Dell, and I've got the ThinkBook 14S. So I have a few Lenovo's right now, which is kind of cool. ThinkBook is that new brand, which is I mentioned that they're not taking away the track point. It's like they're redesigning the Think business PCs for people that aren't the ThinkPad diehards, So this is pretty cool. This is right now. It's already my favorite of the ones that I have because I love ThinkPad X1 devices. They're always so good, And we have narrower bezels on all of this year's models. It looks nice. It's it fits power into a slim and light package, which I mean obviously it's not super thin and light like an X1 Carbon. It does have dedicated graphics and a 45-watt CPU, but it's just one of the best overall packages that you're going to find. That's why I want that OLED model, because OLED is the best display you're going to find. It already has the best keyboard, so it's like with this PC, you're taking a lot of power, you're putting it into a very convenient package. It's very easy to carry around. It's thin, it's light, it's easy to put in a bag, and it won't kill your shoulders after carrying it around. It's got that power, it's got that keyboard, it's got a great display, and OLED is even better. So yeah, I can't wait to take a look at that. And I can't wait to review the P1 as well, which is probably coming sooner than later now that this is here. So stay tuned for that. I'm not sure exactly when I'll have a review. Usually I just say a few weeks, but it depends how long it takes for the OLED model to get here, which I don't actually have an ETA on. Maybe they'll just end up sending me the OLED P1, and this will be all I have for the X1 Extreme. So who knows? Like that's what I say. I don't really know when it's coming, but I'm gonna start work on it right away. So stay tuned for that. No ETA, but stay tuned for that. I'm Rich from NeoWin. Have a great night.